Today we're going to dive into the world of CPG, consumer packaged goods. I had a teriyaki sauce line that I did for a little bit. I started in 2020, but I unfortunately had to close. So I want to talk about the struggles, the ups and downs, my experience. So maybe any of you that you guys are maybe thinking about starting a CPG, have started a CPG, thinking about scaling, can learn a thing or two from this video. Welcome to my video, Shota Cooks. This is my channel where me and Carrot, this guy, not this guy, this guy, I get interviewed by Carrot, you get to know me, we get to know each other, you get to know me, you get to know Carrot, we all just get to know each other. And as that's going on, I like to be cooking something because, you know, I'm a chef by trade. So today I have, I just kind of grabbed all the leftovers, but I happen to have everything for yakisoba besides the noodles. So I'm going to actually use buckwheat noodles. Veggies, I have cabbage, onion, carrot, green onions. I have aonori bonito flakes and kizami shoga for garnish and for the sauce. I'm literally going to do a little bit of maybe hondashi, a pinch of hondashi, which is dashi powder, ketchup, Worcestershire, and kikkoman soy sauce to balance everything out. I have some pork belly as well. And on that note, Carrot, you ready?
Absolutely. That was a fantastic intro. I'm definitely ready to dive into your CPG journey and hear all about those ups and downs. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Camera position looks great. Sweet. What's the first question you have for me, my friend?
All right, let's kick it off. So, what inspired you to dive into the world of CPG and start your own teriyaki sauce brand?
It was 2020 when I started. Well, the reason why I started was I've been in the restaurant business for, well, I believe 15 years at that point. And when COVID hit and I had to close all of my businesses, I realized I had all my eggs in one basket, and that just, you know, it just shuttered everything. It wasn't a smart move. So when COVID hit, seeing a lot of people try different things, CPG was one of those things that I went, you know what? I think I could do something. It shouldn't be that hard. But that happened to be not fully true.
I can imagine that must have been quite a pivot. It's definitely a big challenge to go from running restaurants to launching a product. What were some of the first steps you took when you decided to create that teriyaki sauce?
I started doing a lot of blank calls to people who are doing teriyaki sauce, or not teriyaki sauce, CPG in general, what their experience was, what they saw, what kind of capacity they do it at. Everyone does it different, right? Some people make it in-house, they're dropping it off to small grocery stores. Some people have catering teams. Some people were outsourcing. So I think it depends which direction, or there's no right way to start, right? I mean, like I said, I haven't been successful at it, and I just closed it. So I'm not an expert, but I did learn a thing or two. Because being successful is just sitting on a pile of mistakes. That's what my dad always said.
I love that perspective. It really shows how much you can learn from the journey itself, even if things don't go exactly as planned. It sounds like you got a lot of valuable insights along the way.
Thanks, friend. What's another good question you got for me, my friend?
So, looking back on your journey, what would you say was one of the biggest challenges that you faced that you really didn't expect when you first started out?
Can you say that one more time, please?
Of course. So, looking back on your journey, what would you say was one of the biggest challenges that you didn't expect when you first started out?
Ah, yes, this one. The reason why I'm not continuing anymore. It was the expenses that... Sorry, my gas is not turning on. What is this? All right, whatever. Let's get back here. It was the expenses that I didn't expect to be there that happened, right? Like, sorry, let me see how long I need to cook this for. This says cook it for... It says cook it for... Why doesn't it say the time right away? 6 to 7 minutes. Alexa, timer. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
All right, sorry, go ahead. Can you ask that question one more time, please?
Absolutely. So, what would you say was one of the biggest challenges that you didn't expect when you first got into the CPG business?
I would say the biggest, the external expenses that I didn't realize. It was the shipping fee, the storage fee, and my highest cost was honestly the returns from Amazon. The Amazon return policy is really not meant for small businesses. And what I mean when I say that is when people return things, that money just disappears for small businesses, literally. It just goes into thin air. I don't know where it goes. And, for example, teriyaki sauce. My teriyaki sauce has an expiration about a year, right? So, but at the same time, the way I produced it, I was outsourcing it. So I was producing about 10,000 bottles at a time. And to talk about the whole teriyaki for a second is I, in total, sold about 20,000 bottles. In total, I made about 25,000 bottles. Made zero money. I actually lost money. And the reason why I lost money is kind of going into this answer is I'm going to use Amazon as an example, right? Because I had a few different platforms that I used. Amazon, when you return things, that money disappears. It doesn't come back to the buyer. So what happens is, especially if they return it, somehow we'll get double charged. We'll get charged for the shipping fee that you guys needed to send that out or send the refund back, and the money, or if it's like breakage, the money just disappears and it doesn't come back, or refunds as well. So as a small business, it really screws with your bottom line. The other part was the shipping from different storage units to different storage units, the shipping space that they needed, and how much it cost per square foot. What else? What else was a big expensive one? I mean, those were the really big ones in general. But outside of that, oh yeah, when my sauce expired, that was a massive expense that I didn't see coming. What happened was when my sauce expired, it's not just throw it away. It's now we are getting charged for them to facilitate the throwaway. Makes sense. It's not cheap at all. You try to get that sent back. That's one thing we did once, which was a horrible idea because we got charged a ridiculous amount on shipping. And on top of it, we got charged for the labor time it took for them to operate and execute this to get it done.
Wow, that definitely sounds like a lot of unexpected hurdles, especially with all those hidden costs that just add up over time. It's really eye-opening to hear how much goes on behind the scenes, especially with something like Amazon returns. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course, my pleasure. What's another good question you have for me?
So now that you've had all these experiences and learned so much from this journey, do you think you'd ever try launching another CPG product again in the future?
I would love to. I think my favorite part about being able to do CPG was sharing recipes online, getting feedback that people liked it, and especially with what I do now, I'm not just in Seattle, right? I have supporters all over the US, all over the world. So being able to, it's really cool to be able to, I guess, get a thank you from someone in the Philippines that they saw my recipe and they got to learn something new and try something new. So, yeah, my answer, I guess, to keep it short and simple is absolutely, I would love to be able to do another CPG. I think in a different manner, though. I think for me, 2020 was a year that I really said I want to challenge myself. Even for the CPG product, it was completely self-funded. I had no partners, so it was a little fun little experiment there. I think about my losses, and I look at my losses all as I didn't go to college, so that's my college fee.
I love that perspective, it's such a positive way to look at it, and it definitely shows how much you value growth and learning from experience. I'm sure that if you do decide to jump into another CPG venture, you'll bring all those lessons with you and do amazing.
Thanks. I think I have time for maybe another question or two.
For sure. So, with everything you've learned, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out with their own CPG product for the first time?
You know, honestly, the biggest thing that I got advice on is it's like almost every business, right? It is one of the unfortunates, but thinking about, well, I guess it depends what scale you're trying to do it at. If you want to do it for your neighborhood and give them your best, teriyaki sauce, then it's pretty easy to do. But at the same time, if you're trying to do something that you can possibly grow, expand into a different kind of business, then what you want to think about is how many people, if you're in the middle of America or anywhere, how many people in this room are going to know this product? If not 90% already know what it is, like water, like ketchup, Alexa stop, then it won't be able to scale. You won't have big businesses trying to buy you and be partners with you. And that's the one next problem that for me, that I see, because I like doing more nerdy stuff if I can.
That's such a great point. It's definitely important to think about the scale and the market for your product before you jump in. Really helps to know your audience and what your goals are. Thanks for sharing that insight.
My pleasure. I have time for another question.
Absolutely. So to wrap things up, what would you say was the most rewarding part of your entire CPG journey?
The most rewarding thing about my CPG journey? That's a great question. I would say the amount of people who tried it over my expectancy, and people just coming up to me and going, yo, that's become a house staple. It's one of my favorite things. I cook it for my family, my friend, and they absolutely loved it. Those small comments, they really make it worth all the work that I put in. At least for me, it does feel that way.
That's really heartwarming to hear. It must feel amazing to know that something you created became such a beloved part of people's kitchens and their meals. It's definitely those personal connections and feedback that make all the effort worthwhile.
Thanks, friend. All right.
Absolutely. It's been so fun hearing all about your journey and the lessons you learned. I'm sure everyone watching is going to find it super inspiring and informative. Let me know if there's anything else you want to dive into.
Let's do one more question. We can do one more question, right? Yeah.
Of course, we can definitely do one more. So what would you say is the biggest piece of advice you'd give to any aspiring entrepreneurs out there, whether it's in CPG or just in general?
That's a great question. For me, I guess to introduce myself, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I've never had a business partner. I've been doing it on my own. And it has been a roller coaster of a ride. I have had incredible partners and team members support me through the way. So, as a business alone, but not exactly alone. With that said, the biggest thing that I learned is it's harder than you think. It's going to take a lot of grit. No matter what you do, you're going to run into the same kind of struggles. So whatever you do, make sure you absolutely love it. Because if you don't love it, it's going to be miserable to do it. If you're like your job, right? If you're not someone who loves your job, it just makes it harder to be there. And it's kind of the same perspective. If it's your business, it's going to be one of the hardest things you're ever going to do in your life. And I think the biggest difference of the people who are successful to the people who aren't successful is the people who just don't quit. Grit is honestly, in my opinion, the biggest factor to being successful in any kind of business, right? Everyone, there's so many, the world is tough. There's so many different things that happen in life, from family to everything else. And I think right now, especially with everyone talking loudly about work and life balance and all this, I think a lot of people get lost in, all right, what's fair for me? And that's your first perspective, right? Why doesn't the world devote itself to me? And that's the perspective. And I think for me to be a really successful entrepreneur, you have to just swap that perspective. Take it out. It's not that I'm saying it's not a good thing, but I am saying that if you want to be a goal-oriented person that strives, because honestly, going is very hard. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. And if you can't do that, if you can't find that for yourself, I think the journey is going to be unbelievably hard and treacherous for you.
That's such valuable advice. Having that passion and grit really does make all the difference when you're pushing through those tough moments. Thanks so much for sharing it.
It's my absolute pleasure. And with that said, I'm actually done with this dish, so I think we can call it good for this interview as well. What do you think?
I think that sounds perfect. This was such a great conversation, and I'm really excited for everyone to hear it. Thanks for sharing all your insights, and I can't wait to do this again sometime.
Same. I hope you mean that, friend. I hope you mean that. Don't just say that, okay?
I absolutely mean it. I always enjoy our chats and hearing about your experiences. So whenever you're up for another conversation, I'm here for it.
All right, everyone, say bye to Carrot. Goodbye, Carrot. On that note, I'm going to show you what I made. I actually made a portion for two if anyone's hungry right now. But today's lunch or dinner is going to be yakisoba noodles. So it's going to be sauteed veggies. You have cabbage, onion, green onion. What else did I put in there? I think that's it. Sauteed, and for seasoning, there's a ketchup-based Worcestershire for acid, a little soy sauce to balance out that sodium, and finally a little kewpie al nori, which is a type of seaweed and absolutely delicious. Some bonito flakes, and this is called beni shoga. It's a type of ginger that I really enjoy. So, cheers, guys! Thanks for coming to another episode of Shota Cooks, and now you get to watch me eat a few bites. I feel like that's something that I should do. You like even last video, right? Like I cooked and I just turned it off. So, dewa, Hitoshi, you wanna say hi to the camera? Jump up here. Dewa, itadakimasu. Let's see how this came out with buckwheat noodles. I will say I do cook with a lot of buckwheat noodles at home just because it's technically healthier, right? Yeah, that's money. That's great. I did add a little nutritional yeast for umami to balance it out, but literally for seasoning, the only thing is it's 4 ingredients. It's ketchup, Worcestershire, soy sauce, and a pinch of nutritional yeast. If you don't have nutritional yeast, you can skip it, or you can balance it out with something else that's umami, like mushroom powder, hondashi, chicken bouillon. Any of those would work. The mayonnaise on top is great too. Honestly, mayonnaise on anything is absolutely delicious. Dodge, you just ate dinner, dude. Can I have my dinner in peace, sir? For those of you who are maybe wondering why I'm not sitting down, is I actually don't really sit down when I eat. Anyways, I don't know. I'm not an ASMR eating person. I tried this. I'll do a few bites on the camera, but I don't think y'all need to watch me eat this whole dish today. So, on that note, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming to my channel. Again, please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. It helps my channel out a lot. It's brand new. On that note, until next time, friends. Cheers.